Have you ever wondered what it would be like to step foot on another planet? Science fiction often romanticizes space travel, depicting alien worlds as places ripe for exploration and adventure. But in reality, our solar system is an unwelcoming and downright deadly place. The planets beyond Earth are extreme environments filled with crushing pressures, lethal temperatures, and toxic atmospheres. In this journey, we will explore what would happen if you set foot on each of these planets, and whether you would have even the slightest chance of survival. Venus, a fiery death by pressure and heat. Imagine the moment you step off your spacecraft and onto the surface of Venus, the second planet from the Sun. Before you can even take a breath, or more accurately, before you could even think about taking one, your body is assaulted by the most extreme environment the solar system has to offer. Venus is not just hostile, designed by nature to punish anything that dares approach. The planet's atmosphere is 92 times denser than Earth's, creating pressure equivalent to being 900 meters, 3,000 feet, underwater. In practical terms, your spacesuit, no matter how advanced, would crumple like a soda can. Your ribs would cave in, your lungs would collapse, and your internal organs would be flattened within seconds. It would be an instant and violent death by pressure alone, long before you even have a chance to register the surroundings. But let's imagine a miracle. You're wearing a next-generation pressure suit, capable of resisting the crushing atmosphere. Now you're alive, but only temporarily, because the heat comes next. Venus holds the record for the hottest surface temperature of any planet in our solar system, an astonishing 465 degrees Celsius, 869 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to melt lead, vaporize zinc, and instantly destroy most known materials. Your suit would need to withstand more than just heat. It would need to repel an environment that acts like a giant convection oven from all directions, all the time. The heat is relentless, inescapable, and not just limited to daylight hours. Venus's dense carbon dioxide atmosphere creates a runaway greenhouse effect, trapping the sun's heat and distributing it evenly across the entire planet. That means even on the night side, the temperature barely changes. No shadows to hide in, no relief in darkness. The heat simply bakes you alive, slowly, thoroughly, mercilessly. And then, just when you think it can't get any worse, the clouds begin to rain. But not water. Venus's thick, sulfuric acid-laden atmosphere doesn't allow for anything as gentle as a drizzle. Instead, it bathes the surface with corrosive acid rain that would burn through most materials like battery acid on skin. Even though this acid evaporates before reaching the ground due to the high temperatures, the upper atmosphere is still saturated with toxic vapor. Your protective layers would start to degrade, and any exposed metal or polymer would corrode within minutes. To make matters worse, visibility is practically zero. The sky is a perpetual yellow-orange haze, lit dimly by diffused sunlight that struggles to penetrate the thick cloud layers. The ground is a desolate wasteland, volcanic plains cracked by tectonic activity, scattered with jagged rocks and coated in ash-like dust. All told, Venus is not just a planet, it's a death sentence. There's no solid ground of hope here, no reprieve, no chance of survival. Venus is the ultimate planetary hell, and if you're looking for the worst place to die in our solar system, this is it. Venus isn't just deadly, it's overkill. Mercury, extreme heat, extreme cold. At first glance, Mercury may seem like a less terrifying place than Venus. It's smaller, closer to the Sun, and lacks the thick, hellish atmosphere of its sister planet. But don't let the lack of clouds fool you. Mercury is a planet of brutal extremes, and surviving here is just as impossible, though in a completely different way. The most dangerous feature of Mercury isn't just how hot or cold it gets, it's how fast and violently it swings between both. Unlike Venus, which traps heat, Mercury has almost no atmosphere to regulate temperature. That means heat from the Sun strikes the surface without mercy. And once the Sun sets, the heat vanishes into space just as quickly. On the sunlit side, Mercury becomes a searing furnace. Temperatures can reach 427 degrees Celsius, 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to melt lead, steel, or even the metal frame of your lander. If you stepped out of your spacecraft in the daytime, your suit would instantly begin to overheat. Within moments, your cooling systems would be overwhelmed, and the inside of your helmet would start to feel like a microwave. The Sun here is not the gentle yellow disk we know on Earth. Without an atmosphere to scatter light, it blazes like a brilliant white orb in the sky, 3 times larger and up to 7 times brighter than from Earth. The ultraviolet radiation alone could cook your skin through even the most advanced suit, unless it's shielded like a spaceship hull. Now imagine the opposite. You land on the dark side, hoping the absence of sunlight might buy you time, and for a few brief minutes, it might. But then the temperature begins to drop, and it keeps dropping. Without any atmospheric blanket to trap heat, the warmth from the surface radiates into space until the ground reaches a staggering minus 180 degrees Celsius, minus 292 degrees Fahrenheit. That's colder than liquid nitrogen. Your boots would freeze to the rock. Any exposed part of your suit would become brittle like glass, prone to cracking under stress. In just 10 to 15 minutes, even your thermal systems would begin to fail, and hypothermia would set in fast, a slow, numbing death as your blood thickens and your organs shut down. And there's still one more deadly twist: radiation. With no magnetic field and no atmospheric protection, Mercury is bombarded by high-energy particles from the Sun and cosmic rays from deep space. On the day side, you'd be roasted by direct radiation. On the night side, you'd still be exposed to background radiation strong enough to damage your DNA and disable your electronics. Prolonged exposure, even with shielding, would lead to organ failure and neurological damage. The planet's surface looks eerily similar to our moon, gray, cratered, silent. But unlike the moon, Mercury rotates very slowly. A single day-night cycle here lasts 176 Earth days, meaning if you land on the hot side, the scorching sun won't set for weeks. And if you're on the cold side, forget about sunrise. It won't come until your body has long since frozen solid. No matter where or when you land, Mercury kills you with extremes, a world of fire and ice with nowhere to hide. Mars, the illusion of hope. Mars, so often hailed as humanity's next great frontier. In science fiction, it's portrayed as a rugged but conquerable world, a place where humans might one day walk freely, build homes, and perhaps even terraform an entire planet. But behind this hopeful narrative lies a much harsher reality. Mars may look like a desert Earth, but it's an alien world in every possible sense. and one that will fight to kill you at every moment. The red planet's most deceptive trait is its atmosphere. Yes, it has one, unlike the Moon or Mercury, but calling it an atmosphere is generous. Mars's air pressure is only 0.6% of Earth's. That's so low that if your spacesuit ruptured, your blood would literally start to boil due to the lack of external pressure, even though the temperature might feel cold. You wouldn't explode like in the movies, but you'd lose consciousness within seconds and die within minutes. It's a quiet, cruel death. No air, no pressure, no mercy. And that thin atmosphere doesn't just mean you can't breathe. It also fails to shield you from radiation. Even short-term exposure during solar storms could be lethal. Long-term, the radiation increases your risk of cancer, damages your nervous system, and could even impair cognitive functions. The composition of the Martian air is another problem. 96% carbon dioxide, with only trace amounts of oxygen. Inhaling Mars's air, even for a second, would suffocate you. The CO2 would displace any oxygen in your lungs and flood your bloodstream, leading to unconsciousness and death shortly after. There is simply nothing to breathe. Then come the infamous dust storms, massive planet-wide events that can last for weeks or even months. They reduce sunlight to almost nothing, which is a serious problem for solar-powered systems. These storms don't just block light, they also clog air filters, damage machinery, and coat everything in fine, abrasive dust that's rich in perchlorates, toxic chemicals harmful to human tissue and hard to remove. Mars's soil isn't friendly either. It's like breathing powdered bleach. Despite all of this, Mars remains our most realistic option for colonization. It has frozen water, manageable gravity, about 38% of Earth's, and a day-night cycle similar to ours, just 24.6 hours. In some areas during summer, temperatures at noon can rise to a mild 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, lulling us into a false sense of safety. But just after sunset, temperatures plunge to minus 70 degrees Celsius or minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, turning your cozy Martian afternoon into a deadly freezer. Living here would require massive infrastructure, pressurized habitats, radiation shielding, oxygen generators, and constant maintenance. Even small accidents, like a rip in your suit, a power outage, or a cracked helmet, could mean instant death. Over time, the low gravity would weaken your muscles and bones, requiring daily exercise just to stay functional. So yes, Mars is the most hopeful planet in the solar system, but hope is fragile here. It's a place where every breath must be manufactured, every movement calculated, and every second of survival earned through technology and caution. Mars may be our best chance, but don't be fooled. It's still trying to kill you. Jupiter, no solid ground, just crushing forces. Jupiter is the colossus of our solar system, a true giant among planets. With a diameter over 11 times that of Earth and a mass 318 times greater, it dominates everything around it. But despite its grandeur and swirling beauty, Jupiter is not a place you can stand on. In fact, it doesn't even have a solid surface. If you were brave or foolish enough to attempt a landing, the experience would be more like falling into a stormy abyss than touching down on solid ground. From the moment you enter Jupiter, you're no longer landing. You're falling. The planet is composed almost entirely of hydrogen and helium, forming vast layers of gas that gradually grow denser the deeper you go. There's no clear boundary between atmosphere and core, just a steady, terrifying descent into increasing pressure and darkness. As you plunge through the upper layers of Jupiter's atmosphere, you'd encounter massive clouds of ammonia crystals, giving the planet its distinctive bands and swirling patterns. Here, the temperature is still cold, around -145 degrees Celsius, -234 degrees Fahrenheit. But that's the least of your worries. You'd be tossed violently by winds exceeding 360 kilometers per hour, 224 miles per hour, and within moments, you'd be caught in the planet's enormous, never-ending storms, including the infamous Great Red Spot, a colossal hurricane larger than Earth that's been raging for centuries. Lightning would flash around you, but this isn't ordinary lightning. On Jupiter, bolts can be over 1,000 times more powerful than those on Earth. The electromagnetic radiation would fry your equipment, and your suit would begin to fail. Your descent would accelerate, not just due to gravity, which is 2.5 times stronger than Earth's, but because of the increasing atmospheric density pulling you downward like a giant hand. As you fall deeper, the pressure builds relentlessly. At this point, no material known to humanity could protect you. Your body, no matter how well suited, would be crushed into pulp. Not even bone would withstand the force. You would simply cease to exist as an individual structure, compressed into molecules by the weight of the gas above you. And still, the descent continues. Scientists believe that far below, deep within Jupiter's core, there may be a small solid center made of rock and metallic hydrogen. But it's inaccessible, unreachable, and entirely hypothetical. No probe has ever made it that far, and none ever will with current technology. Even if your suit somehow held together against all odds, you'd eventually be cooked from the inside out. Temperatures climb to tens of thousands of degrees Celsius, and the atmosphere transitions into strange exotic states of matter, like liquid metallic hydrogen that behave unlike anything found on Earth. There's no bottom, no refuge, no escape route. Once you start falling into Jupiter, you're gone. It's not just a death, it's an erasure. Jupiter is a giant that doesn't kill you gently. It crushes you, vaporizes you, and swallows you whole. There is no landing, only eternal descent. Saturn, the ringed death trap. Saturn, the jewel of the solar system. With its iconic rings stretching hundreds of thousands of kilometers into space, it's one of the most visually stunning celestial bodies ever observed. But behind that beauty lies a death trap of cosmic proportions. If Jupiter is the brutal giant that crushes you, then Saturn is the elegant executioner, luring you in with grace, then ending you without mercy. Let's start with those legendary rings. They may look delicate and thin from afar, like floating halos of snowflakes. But in reality, they're made up of billions of ice chunks, dust, and rock fragments, some as small as sand grains, others as large as mountains. These fragments orbit Saturn at incredible speeds. Any spacecraft that tries to navigate through or near the rings without an exact trajectory would be shredded in an instant, as if flying through a cosmic meat grinder. Now, let's imagine you've managed to avoid the rings entirely and are approaching Saturn's upper atmosphere. At first, It might seem calm, a golden yellow planet floating silently in space. But make no mistake, this is no place for a human. Like Jupiter, Saturn is a gas giant. It has no solid surface for you to land on. Saturn's upper atmosphere is primarily made of hydrogen and helium, an invisible and odorless mix that gives no warning of the horror ahead. Temperatures initially start cold, as low as -180 degrees Celsius, -292 degrees Fahrenheit, but quickly begin to rise as you descend. Meanwhile, violent winds whip around you at speeds up to 1,800 kilometers per hour, 1,100 miles per hour, faster than any hurricane on Earth. These winds would toss your body like a leaf in a cyclone. And then comes the real killer: atmospheric pressure. Unlike Earth's breathable 1 bar of pressure, Saturn's interior pressure increases exponentially as you fall. Within just a few hundred kilometers of descent, the pressure would crush even the most reinforced space probes ever built. Your bones would shatter, your suit would implode, your consciousness would blink out long before you reach any hypothetical core deep below. To add insult to injury, the radiation from Saturn's powerful magnetic field would likely disable your electronics early in the descent. Even if your suit could somehow withstand the cold, pressure, and winds, the radiation would destroy your brain, DNA, and vital systems. It's death from every angle, mechanically, thermally, and genetically. Saturn may not deliver the same immediate violence as Jupiter. Saturn is majestic, hypnotic, and utterly merciless. If you're looking for a poetic way to die in space, this ringed assassin will give you the most graceful execution in the solar system. Uranus, freezing and suffocating. Among the outer planets of the solar system, Uranus stands as one of the most mysterious and least understood. Its pale bluish-green hue, caused by methane in the upper atmosphere, gives it a calm and tranquil appearance, almost peaceful. But don't be fooled by this icy illusion. Uranus is a cold, dark, and silent assassin, waiting patiently to end your life in a uniquely haunting way. Unlike Jupiter or Saturn, Uranus is classified as an ice giant rather than a gas giant. Its atmosphere is composed mainly of hydrogen and helium, with about 2% methane, which absorbs red light and scatters blue, creating the planet's signature color. But despite its beauty, there's no hope for survival here. The average atmospheric temperature plunges to -224 degrees Celsius, -371 degrees Fahrenheit, one of the coldest environments in the entire solar system. It's so cold that the air itself feels dead, incapable of movement or energy. Within moments of exposure, the extreme cold would freeze your suit's outer layers, making them brittle and prone to cracking. Any failure in your insulation system would allow the cold to creep in like a phantom. And what about the air? It's not just thin, it's toxic. The 2% methane in Uranus's atmosphere is enough to suffocate you within minutes. There's no oxygen to breathe, and the other gases offer nothing your lungs can use. You begin to fall into Uranus's atmosphere, pulled ever downward by gravity. Unlike Earth or even Mars, there's no terrain waiting for you, no surface to brace for. As you fall, pressure begins to mount. Deeper and deeper, the air becomes denser, and your suit begins to groan. At this depth, science gets weird. It's theorized that the carbon atoms in your body would be crushed into diamond under these conditions. Some scientists even believe that Uranus experiences diamond rain, where compressed carbon forms solid diamonds that fall like hail toward the core. Uranus is a world with no solid landmarks, no light beyond the faint glow of the distant sun, and no sound, just pressure, cold, and toxic nothingness. Uranus doesn't kill you with fire or fury. It kills you with silence, cold, and slow suffocation, leaving your body glittering in the dark as a final, sparkling epitaph. Neptune, the planet of supersonic winds. Neptune, cold, distant, and wrapped in a deep dark blue that conceals its true nature. It's the 8th and farthest planet from the Sun, orbiting nearly 4.5 billion kilometers away. From that distance, the Sun appears only as a bright star in the sky, offering almost no warmth. But Neptune isn't just cold, and the silence of space vanishes the moment you step into its atmosphere. Right from the edge of the planet's cloud tops, you're met with the fastest winds in the solar system, clocked at over 2,100 kilometers per hour, 1,300 miles per hour. That's faster than the speed of sound, and several times more powerful than the most violent hurricanes ever recorded on Earth. These winds don't just blow, they slice. They rip through the hydrogen-helium atmosphere, generating colossal storms larger than our entire planet. But perhaps you enter Neptune's upper atmosphere inside a shielded descent pod, hoping to survive the winds. Unfortunately, wind is only the beginning of your problems. The temperature plummets to a bone-shattering minus 218 degrees Celsius, minus 360 degrees Fahrenheit. Cold enough to freeze most gases solid. Your suit's thermal protection systems are immediately tested to the limit. If even a single component fails, your blood begins to crystallize, and your muscles seize up as ice forms within your cells. You descend into a toxic mix of hydrogen, helium, and methane. The methane gives Neptune its blue color, but it's also highly flammable. Thankfully, there's no oxygen to ignite anything. There's nothing here for your lungs to use. The second your oxygen system malfunctions, suffocation is inevitable. As you descend deeper, the atmospheric pressure begins to rise rapidly. Within a few dozen kilometers, it's already many times greater than Earth's sea level pressure. The crush is slow but relentless. Your reinforced suit groans, metal buckling. Even if you somehow survived the fall, scientists believe that below Neptune's thick cloud layers lies a deep mantle of icy, slushy water, ammonia and methane, possibly surrounding a rocky core. It's a region so foreign that physics becomes speculative. Temperatures and pressures grow so intense that it may rain diamonds, literal diamond crystals forming from carbon under the crushing force, falling for thousands of kilometers toward the center of the planet. But you wouldn't live to see it. Perhaps the most haunting part of Neptune is the isolation. The Sun is nothing more than a faint pinprick of light. The sky is dark, and you are utterly alone. No solid ground, no way out. No sound but the violent scream of supersonic winds tearing through the void. Neptune is not just cold, it is chaos incarnate. It doesn't kill you quietly. It shreds you, freezes you, crushes you, and erases you, all while howling with winds faster than anything you've ever imagined. Pluto, a frozen tomb. Though Pluto was demoted from full planetary status in 2006 and now resides in the category of dwarf planets, Its haunting isolation at the edge of the solar system makes it impossible to ignore. Pluto may be small, only about 2/3 the size of our moon. But don't let its size fool you. This distant, icy world is as deadly as any planet, if not more so. And the way it kills you is slow, quiet, and deeply chilling, literally. Let's begin with the temperature. Pluto lies an average of 5.9 billion kilometers from the Sun, where sunlight is so weak it appears more like moonlight than day. At this distance, the planet receives only 1/60th of a thousandth the sunlight Earth gets. As a result, surface temperatures plunge to an unimaginable -239 degrees Celsius, or -398 degrees Fahrenheit, just a few degrees above absolute zero, the coldest temperature possible in the universe. You step onto the surface wearing the most advanced thermal suit ever engineered. But here, even the best insulation can only delay the inevitable. The frigid environment seeps in slowly at first, numbing your fingers and toes until they turn black from frostbite. Your joints stiffen. Your breath fogs up your helmet, then starts to freeze onto the inside of the visor. Any exposed part of your body, or a failure in your heating system, your core temperature would drop, your organs would begin to shut down, and you would lose consciousness in an eerie, and silence is all there is on Pluto. There is no sound, no wind, no storms, only a crushing stillness. The atmosphere is paper-thin. It's so faint that it collapses and reforms depending on Pluto's distance from the Sun during its elongated orbit. You couldn't hear your own breathing if your comms system failed, with no air to carry even an echo. Looking around, you'd see a desolate landscape, oddly beautiful in its own way. Mountains made of water ice rise like frozen cathedrals, some taller than Everest. Smooth plains of frozen nitrogen stretch to the horizon, occasionally interrupted by craters or jagged cliffs. The light is dim, casting long blue-gray shadows that move ever so slowly. Above you, the sun is just a bright star, and the sky is dark. No atmosphere to scatter light. And yet, there's something hauntingly poetic about it. Your body would freeze. In theory, your remains could stay intact for millions of years. There's no heat to burn you, no pressure to crush you, no winds to tear you apart. Only cold, endless, absolute cold that drains the life from your body like a candle slowly going out in the void. Pluto doesn't kill with rage. It kills with silence, with emptiness, and with ice. It is the universe's cryogenic tombstone, a perfect place for your final breath to freeze mid-air and never return. A beautiful, unforgiving cosmos. Space travel has long captured our imaginations. From classic science fiction tales to modern-day missions to Mars, we've been taught to see the cosmos as a realm of endless possibility, full of wonder, discovery, and adventure. But as we've just seen, the truth is far more brutal. Beyond Earth, the solar system is not a playground. It's a minefield of extreme conditions designed to kill you in the most efficient ways imaginable. Venus will crush you, then cook you alive. Mercury alternates between freezing you solid and incinerating you. Mars teases you with hope, only to suffocate you with toxic air and blind you with planet-wide dust storms. Jupiter and Saturn don't even have surfaces to stand on. They simply swallow you whole in storms and pressure that erase your existence. Uranus and Neptune? Cold, quiet, and deadly, ripping you apart with supersonic winds or crushing you into diamonds. And Pluto offers no violence, just an icy stillness where your breath freezes and your heartbeat fades into silence. Every world is a death trap, each in its own spectacular, horrifying way. And yet, we can't look away. The beauty of these distant realms, their colors, storms, and alien landscapes, remind us of how rare and precious Earth truly is. Our planet may have its problems, but it's the only one, so far, that welcomes us with air to breathe, warmth to feel, and gravity that holds us close. Until we invent technology advanced enough to terraform or build sustainable habitats, space will remain a destination only for machines, dreams, and daring probes. So, the next time you gaze at the night sky and wonder what it would be like to walk on another world, remember, it's breathtaking out there. Yes, but it will take your last breath too. Earth is not just our home, it's our only safe haven. Let's protect it, cherish it, and explore the stars carefully. Thank you for joining this planetary survival tour. If you enjoyed this cosmic journey through the deadliest places in the solar system, don't forget to like, share, or subscribe for more. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and see you among the stars.